Look what just got dropped off. This new project. This thing is going to be epic. Now, this is currently the cheapest R32 GTR in the world at the moment. And because it's the cheapest GTR in the world, that means it's got some GTR issues. Check this out. Now, as you can hear, the car runs and drives like an absolute dream, but it just has this one big issue. Unfortunately, the car has been in a sideswipe. So the guy had just put these brand new wheels, tyres and the adjustable suspension in the car, and unfortunately it started raining and he slid off the road and he ended up heading into a couple of fence posts. So that's that dent there, the dent in the door and the rear quarter. So this is what's going to be happening with the car. I'll just be stripping everything back down, repairing all of this step by step. But for now, what we're going to do is take all of the extra goodies that came in the back of the car out of the car. Then we're going to give the car a bit of a once over, get everything cleaned and see what the actual issues are, ripping off the side skirt and so on as well. Because as you see, this rear quarter will have to be replaced and that wraps around down to the sill. And also this door, this fender, and some work with the inner guard liner and so on there, and probably the front of that sill. But let's rip straight into it. As you can see, the car is absolutely full to the brim full of goodies, including a lot of OEM parts, original suspension, adjustable arms, etc. So we have so much stuff which we can kind of reuse or potentially resell to recuperate some costs. You guys can see I've been absolutely ripping out this interior, taking absolutely everything I can out. Found a whole bunch of goodies in the back, which is awesome. The adjustable arms, the original BC Racing coilover spinners, so camber arms front and rear, factory airbox, 3 steering wheels for some reason in there. Also the original one, which I'll be getting cleaned up. They put another coating kind of thing, almost like a leather coating, and clean it up. So as you can see, there's a couple of little chips and marks there, and they're able to fill those and so on. And also pretty cool to see the original toolkit in the back of the car. Quite often these don't come with these cars and they get lost with owners, etc. Lucky thing with this car, it's had one owner since being in the country, so he's had it for the last, I think, 16 years. So it's pretty lucky that everything is here. But as you can see, the car actually came with some goodies, which is quite nice. And there's my strut brace in the rear. And you move to the front. Also, don't know if you can see that there, it needs to be repowder coated, but there's my strut brace in the front too. Maybe to make it out there a little bit. Pretty cool. So, we're going to be just giving this car a big clean now to see what we're working with, and then give a bit of a part count of what we actually need. There are a couple of things which I didn't realise are needed when I first had a look at the car, which was this headlight here. As you can see, it's cracked on the impact, and the new replacement indicator, which is in the box over here, which came with the car, that unfortunately appears to have some damage on it from new. So you can see the crack there, also the crack there. It'll be fine for now, but it isn't perfect. But we're going to do a bit of a part count and give this car a big clean up. Just finished ripping out majority of the sub and amp wiring for the car. The only thing I need to grab out now is this green cable which goes straight through to the head unit, and that plugs in just for the amp bit. Just finished giving the car a bit of a clean up. As you can see, it looks a lot better. I'm going to put the floor carpets back in, but it looks a hell of a lot better. Just beginning to, we're just finishing off ripping out all the sub and amp wiring. Just going to pull the head unit and pull the rest of that out. I'm just giving the interior of the car a little bit of a clean with the old drill brush and the wet back here. Trying to get some of the stains out, so fingers crossed it'll make a big difference. Looking super clean there now, which is awesome. Now I'm just gonna rip this door off here to replace it with the new door, which is not damaged. But first thing before this is that I'm going to put back on the power steering belt. Power steering fluid was a little bit low, so when the tow truck company dropped the car off, they took the power steering belt off just to make sure. As you can see there, it's super loose, so we're just gonna pull this intake pipe off here, and obviously one of the intakes, so we can access the, I think it's a 10mm bolt which goes in there and it tensions the bracket there. So we're just gonna rip that off and get that tightened. As you guys can see, I've just removed that K&N pod filter there, as well as the twin turbo to intercooler bit of pipe in there, that bit of charge pipe. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sneak down here and just the little bolt there, which I believe is a 12mm. I'm going to be doing that up until I get the correct tension on the belt there. And generally with belt deflection and so on, you should have around 90 degrees, so twisting 90 degrees that way, have the deflection like that, and that should be about as max tightness you have. I've been waiting for this moment. Belt back on tight, looking good. Perfect. So we're just going to roll the car out and bang that door on. So we just rolled the car into the garage here. As you can see, we've got the new door on, and I'm just working on the fitment there. Sitting a little bit high at the moment, as you can see, so I think the hinges may be a little bit buggered, so I'll have to do some adjustment at the front here. The two hinges at the front there, boom and boom, as you can see, and I'm gonna do some fine tuning on that and get that door shutting absolutely mint. Pretty much we have something in New Zealand called a warranty fitness sticker and registration, and these are our paid certificates for us to be on the road. The registration is payment for using the New Zealand roading system and upkeep of that. Our warranty fitness is the roadworthy certificate to make sure the car is safe for the roads. Cars older than 1999 have to have this every 6 months. Cars newer and meet the safety and airbag and structural impact zones, they can have them every year. So pretty much for this car, this has an older warranty fitness and registration on the car, meaning that I do not have to go through the re-registration or compliance process of a fresh import of a car, which saves me thousands of dollars. So for this car, I snagged an absolute bargain. For this car, I paid 29,000 New Zealand dollars, which is about 17,000 US. Now, considering that in New Zealand at the moment, you're paying around 10 to 15,000 New Zealand dollars for a complete crate engine with no gearbox, this car's an absolute bargain. And the best thing is, it doesn't need to be re-registered. The warranty fitness and registration is just on hold. So for us here in New Zealand, we don't actually have to have insurance within a car. So to be driving legally on the road, it is not a legal obligation for us to actually have insurance. So unlike the UK, the US and also Australia, etc., they legally need to have insurance to drive a car on the road, which I think is a good idea and actually should be implemented in New Zealand. Not only is it something which is great for you and your own car, but also for the other drivers as well if you smack into them. So unfortunately, this driver here, he didn't have insurance. And that is why I've been able to get this car for such a good price, because pretty much in New Zealand, if this was under insurance, that means that I wouldn't probably be able to repair it, because in New Zealand, as a general public, we don't really have the right to repair a car. It has to go through an authorised repairer. They have to do their checks and balances, as well as putting the thing on full frame machines, doing the 3D scans and alignment. And a process like this would probably end up costing around $30,000 to get done, where I'm going to be doing it for a hell of a lot less, because it's a not recorded damage, because there was no insurance. So that is how I'm really lucky where I'm able to snag this car. Now, obviously this varies the cost for get all this stuff repaired within a car. If you go through an authorised repairer, it is upwards of that. That was one of the quotes the previous owner had for repair, was $30,000, another one was $35,000, and there was one which he had, which was slightly less. But you know what it's like with repaired cars, it always costs more than what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. When you're back at the next one, we rip the car outside and start cleaning up the exterior and see how it comes out. Stay tuned.